Good evening, everybody. Tomás Ó'Sé here in association with Benetti, and we're having a few chats with different people over the last few weeks. And tonight, I'm delighted to say that we have the great Shane Lowry with us, and looking forward to this because Shane is one of the great golfers in the world. He's one of the great characters in the world, and he's one of the guys I think who has a huge link with the GAA. So I think that's what makes the connection with him. He's just coming in here now, so I'll get him in there. We're just waiting.
There we are.
Well, Shane, how are you, boy?
Tomás, how's it going?
I don't know what time it is out there, but I'm sure you've better things to be doing than be chatting with me.
No, I'm all right. It's 4 o'clock, so I was out playing golf today. People would be jealous to hear that. I played 18 holes this morning, and I'm back now, back at the house. So yeah, just chilling.
The sun beating down, Shane. It's great to be back out there, I'd say.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, like we had 6 weeks here where the golf courses were closed, so it's great to get back out and hit a few balls, and just get back into it. Because I actually missed it more than I thought I would,
Yeah.
Normally, like I would have, say, 4 or 5 weeks of Christmas where I wouldn't hit a shot, and I don't really miss it too much. But sure, look, you'd have other stuff to be doing, and yeah, I missed it when I wasn't able to do it. You know what I mean?
How were you killing the time? I know you have the family at home, but were you reading books or what you do? Are you a Netflix man or what was the crack?
Yeah. Well, myself and Wendy started watching The Sopranos about 5 weeks ago. I never watched it before,
Brilliant.
so we just finished it 2 nights ago. So we're looking for something else. We started The Wire last night, so I've heard that's really good. So watch the first episode of that.
Plenty of things. Geez, I was just thinking there today, Shane. I said, if I ever met you socially or whatever, like I'd have a pile of questions in my head. And I'd be an awful tulip if I was asking you, because you'd be saying, Jesus Christ, I'm just pain in the arse, ever go away and stop asking me questions. But now, under the pretense of Benetti, and I can ask you these questions, I'd always
ask me what you want.
and get away with it. Did you hear the news about the GA? I know that there'll be no intercounty until minimum October, and that the pitches won't open. It's getting kind of, I know it's very hard for them to put up something, but do you think we'll see anything? Geez, it'll be a tough year if we don't.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with the GA is it's not professional. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at what the Premiership are trying to do and get games played and stuff, but like, the thing with the GA is lads have jobs, don't they? And there's people that work, like, I suppose people like come to the top of your head would be like Jack McCaffrey, who's a doctor, and, lads like that who work in the front line, and, their jobs are more important, I suppose, than the game of football. Do you know what I mean? When it comes down to it. And I suppose they had to make a decision because people are asking questions, but it's tough. Lord, it will be a tough year. With sport, it's amazing. It's amazing, and you only seen it now. I would only have seen it the last while. During any sort of, like, let's say the bad times in the late 2000s, say 2008, 9, sport got people through an awful lot, doesn't it? Sport gets people through everyone, and through anything. And it's weird when you don't have sport, you don't have it to get you through anything. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough one. Like, it's been tough and a tough decision for the GA. But sure, look, I think they're just trying to make sure that everyone's safe and healthy, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. But like, I'll miss it anyway. I don't know about you. I'm sure you'll miss it an awful lot, and everyone else will. But I'll certainly miss going to Croke Park.
Sure. When you think about it, like, I know you're in a different world, but for us, like, everything goes back to the GA. No matter what we do, if we go golfing with fellas that we know from the GA. If we go over to America, we touch base with fellas from the GA. Like, it's just all around us. Like, it's what connects us to it. I was just going to ask you, do you know when you're out in golfing, right? And I said, I'm not going to be asking you how do you feel when you win the Open. Do you know when you're out golfing and you're playing around and there might be a big match at home? Do you ever actually tune in while in the middle of the round and say, right, what's the score there? Or does anybody have a score or whatever? Are you allowed to, or would you say, no, I don't do that?
I don't think you're allowed to, but I would do, yeah. I would, especially if someone, like, if it was around May or June and Offaly were still in the championship, I'd be checking. No, I would be checking all the time. Like, I'd have, if there'd always be a wait or something, and I'd just go in and check my phone and check it quickly. I'd always check the scores. Like, that's the great thing with it in America. When I'm playing in America during the summer, best thing that ever happened to me was GA Go. And you know, like during the summer, say I'd be playing in America, and if later tea time on a Sunday, you know, the GA match, there'd be a match at 2 o'clock and a match at 4, so there'd be a match at 9 and a match at 11. Do you know what I mean? If you're on the East Coast, say, so if you have a late tea time, you get 2 matches before you go. Actually, it kills the morning, so it's great. But yeah, I try and keep up. I do keep up to date as much as I can. But yeah, I certainly would check the scores the odd time, stuff like that.
Can you you know, I often we would be preparing for games, like, and we'd be inside. We'd have to gather early, and you'd be inside in a room or whatever, and you'd be inside in a hotel or whatever. And at times, various times, there might be huge soccer matches, Ireland playing in or whatever. I could not sit down with pure nerves, kind of trying to focus in the match. I could never do it. Would you have any issues now, like, say, I'm not saying now in majors or anything, big tournaments on a Sunday now, and the nerves will be kicking in, you might have a late tea time. Would you have no problem sitting down watching an all match? Would it relax you, or what would you do?
Yeah, I'd have no bother at all, you know. It's funny, I'd be fairly relaxed before I go play. You know, obviously the bigger tournaments you're in, if you're in a bigger, maybe if you're leading or something, it might be a bit different. But, you know, there's been times where I'd be quite late going to the practice ground because I'd be watching maybe even a rugby match. Or I remember one time in Pebble Beach a few years ago, Ireland were playing, I don't know who they were playing, the Six Nations anyway, but I not that I nearly missed my tea time, but I was like, I didn't go to range about 20 minutes before my round. I normally go about 40 minutes because I was watching the end of the rugby match, you know what I mean? So stuff like that. I'd be fairly lax when it comes to that. Like, I wouldn't be too, I wouldn't have to get really in the zone or anything. I'd kind of, even before I go out, like, I'd be, you know, 5 or 10 minutes before I go to the first tee, I'd be standing on the put green, I'd be checking my phone, like, you know, any messages, or, you know, if there's any matches on, I'd be checking scores, and I'd be fairly laid back, that kind of way. So
I was thinking today, the link with all the big golfers, you have the Harringtons and you have all the lads, McDowell and Rory, obviously, and yourself, like, and I don't know what it is with you. You have a connection with the GA. The GA is mega. Like, two of the most iconic moments ever in any sporting context in Irish sport. The Lowrys were stuck in the middle of it, like 82 and the Open on Irish territory. Like, the GA is huge for you, Shane, isn't it? No matter what.
It is. I was wondering how long it would take for 82 to come up. But
I wish I hadn't have to talk about it.
But yeah, look, it's. Well, sure, I grew up in the GA, didn't I? My father played for Offaly and for Ban, and I went everywhere with him. I remember even when I was a young lad and he was training Westmeath, I remember going over to Westmeath to trainings, and you know, I just grew up in it and I played it, and that's all we did. Like, once you had a football when you're a young lad, where I grew up, like, I grew up on a road. There's a few of us there, and we go out into the fields and we put goals down and we kick ball all day. Like, that's kind of what we did when we were young lads, and you know, that's the way we grew up. And the GA meant everything, and it still does mean an awful lot to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd still be very close to my club team, like Clara, and you know, I'd be, obviously we're not going great, but I'd be a big Offaly man, a big GA man, and I go as much as I can, and I go out my way to go to matches as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I drive anywhere to go to a match, and if I was at home in Clara, I go to any junior match or anything. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that, and I just love it. But sure, it's what I was brought up in. Do you know what I mean? Golf has obviously become my career and my job, but GA is what I was brought up in.
Your old fella, when did he finish? He finished with Offaly around 87, was it?
No, later. I think he finished early 90s, and he finished playing with Offaly. Yeah. And,
so you would have gone to games when he was playing with Offaly.
Oh, geez, yeah, but I don't remember them. I remember a couple of club games. I actually remember one club game, a funny one. 1993 county final. So I grew up in Clara, and for Ban, my father played for Ban, and all my uncles, my mother's brothers played for Clara. Colin and Mark were on the team in 93. Mark was only 17, but anyways, my uncle Mikey was the captain of Ban, and my father got sent off in the semi-final, and he was suspended for the final. But my uncle Mikey was captain for Ban, and our next door neighbour was the captain of Clara, a fella called Tony Egan. And Tony Egan asked me to be the mascot for Clara. And my and my uncles and my father playing for band. And I was Clara's mascot. I don't know how my father let it happen, to be honest. And Clara bet him that day. But that's one, I was only 6 at the time. So I wouldn't really remember it. I remember more so when he finished playing GA, played a bit of soccer for Clara. I used to go to the matches with him, but I don't remember him playing for Offaly, to be honest.
But sure, they would have been heroes, like no more than the great Kerry team of the 70s and 80s. Anytime they walk around Tralee or walk around Clarny or walk into any matches, that Offaly team, they're legends all around the place above there. What was it like growing up with that? Like, was it all over the place, or they're football mad, like?
Yeah, they are, but I suppose when you grow up and he was my father, like I didn't know him as anything else, and obviously they did what they did in '82, and they're absolute legends even to this day. I think they're even bigger legends to this day because Offaly haven't won one since. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, that's obviously a disappointing thing for us, but yeah, look, they're legends around the place, and they are, and it's mad to think it's nearly 40 years ago now, like 38 years ago. So it's
and they're close, aren't they? They're still very close. Like I saw.
Yeah, and it's funny. Do you know what they are? They're very close with that Kerry team. Yeah, and it's amazing it's an unbelievable like friendship that they have. Like even I remember when I playing a tournament in Portugal, and Mikey Sheehy been over there, Mikey Senior, and himself and my father having a few pints, and just kind of. He's always trying to get my father to come down and play Tralee with him and stuff like that. And anytime they would, I suppose they had a lot of functions and stuff to go to, but they get on very well, and it's a funny sort of a relationship, because you would think that the Kerry lads, some of them would be a bit bitter over it, I suppose, but
they wouldn't.
They won enough of them. He won enough of them.
When you're from Kerry, you can't be complaining about it. I remember actually down at the great John Egan, his funeral down in Cork, and we were brought up. The only video we had played over and over was the Kerry's Golden Years, and I'll always remember Sean running out with the ball over his head when the final whistle went.
I think he still has that ball, actually.
Does he? Oh, geez, that's worth a few bob now. The first time I saw him was at Johnny, and I was starstruck, like, because I saw, and I just noticed as I looked around, Pat Fitzgerald, they were all there, all the Offaly lads together, and they were at the funeral. There was a great time. I was wondering, where did you have a kind of a love and a draw, because I saw you coming to a few Kerry matches before. You have a good respect for the Kerry lads as well.
Oh, geez, I would be, there'd be a few dubs now, give me a bit of stick over this, but Kerry would be like, and a few of my friends from home be the same, like, travel down to Kerry. I've been to quite a few Kerry matches, and like I've been to one of the best days I ever had at a match. Actually, I was at the Munster final in 2013. Kerry Beck Cork down in Killarney, and geez, that was a great day out. Like, that was kind of
the sun was shining.
Yeah, I remember, and Kerry were 9 points up or something at half time, and Cork came back, and the Kerry only just about won it. But stuff like that, I remember. I just love going. Look, even any sort of a match, like. I go to, say the Irish Open was in Lahinch last year, and on the Saturday evening, Mayo were playing Galway. I think Mayo were playing Galway in the qualifiers in Limerick, and myself and a couple of lads got into the car and drove. It was like an hour to Limerick, drove an hour to Limerick on the Saturday evening and went to the match. And I just love doing stuff like that, you know what I mean? And
it must have been some buzz for you to walk out after winning the Open at the Limerick game, wasn't it? Huge.
Yeah, that was... people ask me what were the good things, the cool things that happened after the Open, like to get to walk out in the middle of Croke Park, because I was told that I wanted to go to the match anyway. So, and then the GA were on, and they wanted me to go at half time, and I said, yeah, no bother. And then they said, you're going out before the match. So I was like, I don't know, like 20 minutes before the match, there'll be no one in the stadium. You know what I mean? It'd be like a bit of an anti-climax. But I went out literally like 2 minutes before throw-in, and the players were just getting ready to walk in behind the band and stuff, and Jesus, there was some atmosphere, and I got a full standing ovation in Croke Park. That was one of the coolest things that ever happened to me, to be honest.
If you were there, I was there the day that the Sunday that you were out playing the last round, and Kerry were playing Donegal, and I tell you now, you could see the section in the middle of the stands. They were all inside watching the golf. They weren't watching the football at all. And I was sitting beside Des Cahill, and I said, fuck this, Des. I'd rather be watching the golf than watching this stuff like the one day. I'll actually tell you a good one. you know, he played that day. It was interesting enough. I got a call that week, right? And I went up to the one of the practice days, and we were watching. We followed you for a while, I think, above. And I got a call. Did I want to play Portrush on the Monday morning, right? We were the first 4-ball out. You took the last shot, the last putt on the Sunday evening, and we were out the following morning. Now, I wasn't the first guy to off. I was third or fourth. It was around 5:30 in the morning.
All right, very good.
You were still awake down in Dublin.
I was still going well. I was still going well down in Dublin.
That was one thing I was going to ask, right? And I think it's why fellas love you, and it is no disrespect to where it was played or anything like that. I know that, but after is it true like that after you won it above that somebody said, geez, we've something arranged now for tomorrow, and there's a party arranged here tonight or whatever. You said, no, we're heading for home, and it's nothing to do that you were going back to Dublin. I just want to go back to my own gang, like.
Yeah, well, I said the Sunday morning that I wanted, no matter what happens today, lads, I want to wake up in my own bed tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Because I knew if I had a bad day and lost, that I just wanted to close the curtains and spend a couple of days in the house, and then I knew if I won, I'd want to be in Dublin on the Monday. And I, for obvious reasons, but so the lads afterwards, like my management were there, Connor and Brian or whatever, and they had a party arranged in Portrush, but also Alan Clancy, who owns a couple of bars in Dublin, he had a party arranged in 37. So it was my call after that. And yeah, normally after the Open, you do like a big media day on the Monday, say at the venue, but it was obviously different because I was able to get in my car and drive. Normally lads would have to fly, and if you win, you'd miss your flight and you'd be staying on anyway, type of thing. So I ended up doing my media day on the Tuesday. So I was back down in Dublin. I think we got back down about 1 o'clock, and sure, we had a good time. Yeah,
it's I'd say one of the best feelings ever. Is it?
It's. Do you know, it's hard to describe, and it all goes so quickly. I'm sure. Look, you've won All Ireland, and you'd love to relive it again. Do you know what I mean? You'd love to. I'd love to go back and just enjoy the whole week again. It was like one of the best weeks of my life. Like, it was incredible, and just be able to have a great time with friends and family was just unreal. You know.
I was going to say that, you know, if you win in All Ireland, right, it's mayhem. You go back to a hotel afterwards, there's hundreds or whatever, there's a couple of thousand back there, and you go back home, even if you lose or win, and your own time is not yours, right? So what happens after is, if you're lucky enough to win an All Ireland, you'll have the players nowadays, it's different that they have the pitch as well as after the game. But then they get into the dressing room, they have that quiet time. Did you have a quiet time? Did you have any hour with yourself, with Wendy, with any of the family that you could sit down and say, just take it in for an hour or two, or was it just bang?
No, it was. So I finished, and then it was all the presentation. Then I had media for about 2 hours, and then I'm in the clubhouse, and all my friends and family are there, but like literally, and others as well. So there's 200 or 300 people there, and then we leave to go back down home. So on the way down home, like I had just myself and Wendy and Iris and Connor Ridge, my manager, drove the car. So we were just, you know, we were chatting. I was on my phone. I was mostly just on my phone reading messages, to be honest. And then it was just mayhem. We got back, went into the bar, started celebrating. Monday, out over to Hugh and the Boar's Head all day. Do you know what I mean? Then Tuesday, had media all day, down to Clara. That was completely mental. And then Wednesday night, I went for dinner, and I brought all my team, say my caddy and my coach and my trainer and Connor, some of my managers. About 20 of us went for dinner, and they're all their other halves. And we went, and that was probably the first time where we got to all like sit around and just have a talk. Like, so Wednesday evening, and that was kind of, we were just telling stories about how things went, and just kind of, you know, just really, really enjoy it. But obviously I really enjoyed the few days previous, but being able to sit there and with the people close to you. But as regards sitting down even with my mother and father, like, God, I don't even know how long it took before I got an hour in my mother and father's house with no one calling, or, do you know what I mean, going in and just sitting there. And, you know, it's mad. Like, I'd say my mother and father probably pinch themselves every now and then. Do you know what I mean? They have, you know, they're obviously very immensely proud of what happened, but it was incredible for everyone involved, I suppose.
Geez, the way you won it, I thought in the first hole, watching it back, and I was watching it a few weeks ago, Jesus Christ, you must have been like, there's a pro down here, Kevin Morris, and I play with him the odd time, and he laughs at me. Like, I can't, like, how in the name of Christ you keep the concentration going? Like, it could have gone pear-shaped after the first, couldn't it?
Well, it could have, but it was, look, I knew going out, and going out, you're not going to get it easy, like, do you know what I mean? Kind of, and I remember the last time, say in 2016, when I had, I was leading by 4 shots going into the final round of the US Open, and I didn't win that. And I remember Harrington sent me a text before the final round, and I wish I kind of had read it a little bit better, like as in he was insinuating in the text that it's not going to come easy. You're not, nobody's going to hand it to you. There's going to be a certain stage of today where you're going to be, in a very tough situation that you just have to go out and get it, like, and go out and fight till the very end. And I didn't really fight to the very end there, and I just knew going out to Portrush on the Sunday that I was going to just fight to the bitter end, like, and to be honest, I kind of felt the way I was feeling. I felt like it was going to take someone to have a really, really good round to beat me. Do you know what I mean? Because I felt good, like I felt like I was doing what I needed to do, and I just felt like I felt like I was going to win. Obviously, I wasn't 100% sure, but I just felt like I was going to go out and win. Like,
geez, I can imagine, like, whatever about team sport is different, like, and with the goods and highs and the lows with golf, like, you're on your own, like, so obviously you got all the credit you deserve. But I was coming up that following morning, all the grandstands were still there. So I came up to 18th and I threw a ball. Well, I couldn't get a freaking ball onto the fairway from the tee, so I dropped the ball, right? 3 times, Shane, I hit balls off into the stand, right?
Yeah.
And I said, for fuck's sake, I can't. I'd say the feeling coming up there at the end, like, and Jesus Christ, I'd say it was unreal.
Sure, I was leading by that many going down 18. You would have finished it from there anyway, Tomás. I was like, no, but that was the one thing that was unreal, like, that the fact that I was able to enjoy it, and just been able to walk down 17 and 18 and take it all in, like, that type of stuff. And that's why I feel, look, I was even saying it to Wendy here yesterday, like, I was going out, I'm a member of a lovely golf course here in Florida, and I was going out to hit a few balls, and the weather was lovely, and I said to her yesterday evening, Jason, I'm incredibly lucky, we're incredibly lucky at the life we have, like, what we're able to do, and I just feel incredibly fortunate and lucky that I was able to do something like I did, and especially where I did it and how I did it and everyone there. Do you know what I mean? And you look at there's a few videos, say, of me finishing on 18 and walking off the green, and Iris and Wendy been there, and my mother and father, my sister and my brother, and everyone there, my manager, my coach, everyone who's involved with me, and the people who are closest to me and who have been there, sort of, even down to, like, Gary Murphy was there, and Graham McDowell and his caddy, and Porrick Harrington was there, and Ronan Flood, his caddy, and people who have been, probably everyone that was there have huge influences on my whole career. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's what I feel very lucky about, because the Sunday morning, my mother didn't drive up until the Sunday morning. Do you know what I mean? So if I was winning that, say, over in Scotland or something, she wouldn't have been able to come over. So just being able to have them there was great, Well,
there's only one trophy, I suppose, that could top the Sam O'Gara going into the Boar's Head on the Monday, and that's the carriage. So, and you did that. Can I ask you about, is it harder since you won that? When you come home now, do you find it hard to kind of touch base with your own buddies at home? Do you find it hard to find time for everybody? Like, is there a lot of fellas pulling out of you no matter where you go now?
Yeah, it is and it isn't. Like, it's kind of, I suppose the easier things have become a little bit more tricky than they have been before. Like, even, like, I love playing golf with my friends when I go home, do you know what I mean? And I love just going down, say, anywhere. I go play any course with the lads, do you know what I mean? And it kind of gets a bit tricky if people find out you're out there, then they go out and watch you, or your friends are there, then everyone feels awkward. And it's just kind of, stuff like that just becomes a little bit trickier. But I'm still like me, like, I'm still just kind of normal enough, and just try and go about my business how I do. But to be honest, I haven't had that much like obviously I had Christmas, but Christmas was fairly busy with stuff, and I haven't had that much time at home since, you know. I've had the odd week here and there, but any time I'm at home, I sort of have stuff to do. So I'm always busy now, but obviously it's all good.
I remember years ago you were down on a bit of a tour. You had a bus with your own buddies, and I met you inside in Paddy's, and they had your phone taken off
I think
you.
was that Stevens there the day after or something one year, years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody told me you have is it Theatre of War? The horse is that with buddies as well? Is that
Yeah, that's the same lads. That's the same lads.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. So
have you had any few big days out of that, or?
Well, the boys now, geez, I don't know if I'll throw them under the bus here, but a couple of them went to Cheltenham there recently. He ran in Cheltenham, so they're in the bad books with the general public. But so after the Open, obviously I have a group of friends from home, like the WhatsApp group, and lads I grew up with and stuff, and I wanted to do something for them afterwards, or something together, like just to kind of not commemorate the Open, but you know, it's a big deal. So, Bo, my caddy, is good friends with a guy called Phelim Cunningham, who works for Gavin Cromwell, the horse trainer.
Right, yeah.
So of course, in a roundabout way, that's how we all got introduced. And sure, we all went down to the yard one day and we bought this horse together anyway. And it ran a few times, like a donkey. But we had a great day out in Leopardstown at Christmas. Actually, he finished second. He nearly won in Leopardstown at 33-1 at Christmas, and he ran in Cheltenham and ran all right actually. On the Wednesday at Cheltenham this year, but sure, look, we had a bit of crack with him. We were hoping to have a bit more crack this summer, but who knows when it'll all be back, you know.
A day out. I'm not going to keep you much far longer, Shane. I know you're busy. I was going to ask you, the American tour, is there any kind of, I won't say crack now or anything, but is there a social side to, like, you just land on, and I'm talking about after tournaments, does anybody, how'd you get to know them? I know you live with or there's fellas that live close to you, or the members in the same course, but is there any kind of fun or banter on it? Like, I'm talking about behind the scenes, all kind of a thing.
Like, you'd always have, the way it is, like, I'd always have like someone with me, do you know what I mean? So I'd always have either like my coach or my manager, or sorry, I'm back on there. I'd always have like friends or family or someone with me. So you wouldn't really hang out with lads that much. Like I'd be very good friends with Harrington. I'd be very good friends with GMAC, and we'd go for dinner the odd time during the week. But there wouldn't be that much crack as per se. It's kind of just fairly subdued. And look, everyone's trying to perform at the highest level, so it's kind of bed early every night and get good food into you and get up the next day and get at it. And your days are actually, like, people think that golf is just you go out, play a game of golf and that's it, but your days are actually quite long. Sometimes you'd have 10-12 hour days, you know, and it'd be practice, say, playing around, another bit of practice, maybe a bit of physio, maybe a gym session, you know, stuff like that. And before you know it, it's 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, you have to grab a quick bit of food and you're off to bed because you might have an early start in the morning. So the odd Sunday evening when you have a good week or something, there'll be a bit of crack maybe with a few lads, but that would be it really.
Is there any kind of a thing where if you do miss the cut and you say, oh, fuck it, I wasn't supposed to be home until Sunday anyway. I wasn't supposed to be home until Sunday, so I can...
Well, there'd always be you'd have some cities where you'd be you miss the cut, you think, oh well, sure, I'm here now, I might as well go. And look, you'd have places like, you'd always have certain stops on the map that you'd know people as well. Like, say, I'd know, you know, let's say you're in New York, there'd always be a few in New York that you'd know.
Johnny Kennedy
Would be, look, I'm even drinking coffee out of his cup. Look, he'd be happy with that.
Delighted.
So stuff like that, you'd have stops like that where you know people. You know, even in Shanghai, we used to have this. You have this Irish guy, Brendan, Chinese Brendan, we used to call him. He had bars over there, and we used to go in for dinner. It was good Irish. You get good Irish grub in there. Do you know what I mean? In China, and you go into him and stuff like that. So, Yeah, you'd always have stops where you'd have your eye on. Maybe if you did well, you'd have a good night at it. But yeah, more often than not, Wendy and Iris are traveling with me now, so that's kind of it's not as much anymore.
You'll be going to Cheltenham more often, I reckon.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I have to. I don't know. Did you see it? Like I'd be golf mad. I love it. Like, and I'd be.
Your brother, I mentioned your brother's not seen the few shots he.
Like I was going
video.
to ask you, how would you actually politely tell a fella that a game isn't for him? Like, without, like the guy's after joining for me, like, and oh Jesus, and Shane, like, I saw you throw up a video last day in the chip, like, and it was all, geez, it was good banter. But that fella's doing it about 19 times around, like.
I know.
Do you know?
No, it's funny. I went. I think it was the All Ireland final last year. It must have been I think it was the All Ireland final, and I ended up in house in Dublin with Conor Moore, and then I ended up bumping into a few lads, and all of a sudden I ended up in this. I woke up the next morning, I was in this WhatsApp group with your brother and Alan Brogan and a few others, and it was. And I've been in that WhatsApp group ever since. And to be honest, it's after keeping me going through all this. We've great cracking Anthony Daly's in it. Who else in it? There's a few Jackie Tyrrell's in it. It's all the Renault lads. Paddy McGee is all the Renault lads in it. And I for some reason I'm in it as well. And
well, if they ever ask you to go golfing, Shane, just have
an
excuse ready. Have an excuse ready by
that. Mark's gonna go mad now because he's always giving out with the lads. Giving out for you putting the video on Twitter and stuff.
I'll tell you a funny one. I don't know what it is with the golf with the O'Shea's. Myself and Dara played around over in Clorglen one day, and it was raining, and we had to go out. And Dara wouldn't be big into the golf now, and he plays away, but he wouldn't be big into it. And we were playing with two lads we didn't know, right? So it was raining, and we were down the fairway, and nobody wanted to be there really, like, but we had to go out, right? So there I am standing in the fairway, and I'm looking over to my right, and Dara's inside in the rough, but he doesn't really know the rules even, but he was tapping the ball up on top of a tuft of grass, right? So I was looking at the boys over to my left, and he says, Jesus Christ. So I walked over to him, whispered to him, I said, what are you doing? Like, you can't touch a golf ball. And he looks at me serious out, and he says, Tomás, not a fucking hope I did it where I was. I says, oh my God. So, and you're back out, Shane, before I leave you go, you're back out in the next month, are you?
Yeah, we're back out the week of the 8th of June. So we're in Texas. So yeah, we're all.
You must be gagging for that.
Oh yeah, we're gearing up for that. That'd be great. Like I think it'll happen anyway.
Is it behind closed doors?
Yeah, all behind closed doors. I think it's going to be very limited people on site, like only players and caddies and the bare minimum essential people. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Look, I can't wait to get back competitive golf. Like I miss it an awful lot, and it's been 7 or 8 weeks now. So it'll be another 5 weeks. So it'll be over 12 weeks altogether, which is a long time. Do you know what I mean? But look, it's obviously very important everyone stays safe and healthy. But geez, it'd be great to get back to do a bit. And look, I think it's actually a great opportunity for golf as well, because there'll be a bit of live sport on telly, and people will go mad for it. You know what I mean? And everyone will be fairly happy with it on the telly. So I'm looking forward to it.
I remember in Fort Island, and the countdown is on, but there'll be a stampede when it eventually comes back.
You won't be able to get a tea time in Ireland the 18th of May, will you?
Oh, geez, no. I'll have one anyway. I'll maybe make sure that whatever it is. Come here, Shane. I suppose my highlight, even though all the Dubs, I was asked for my highlight in the Sunday game, and it wasn't the 5 in a row from the Dubs, and I love the Dubs very much so, but it wasn't the 5 in a row. It was Shane Lowry winning because he's a GM and he's one of our own.
Wasn't that great? That was great for you to have that cop out, wasn't it? Not go for the 5 in a row.
Well, I was going to find some other cop out if I didn't have you. I know, I love the Dubs. We all love the Dubs. But come here, Shane. Brilliant to have you on. Brilliant to watch you throughout the year. Hope you have another brilliant year, and we'll catch up some other time. But I have all the questions asked now. I won't plague you when I meet you, all right?
Thanks, Tomás. Cheers.
No bother. Good luck.
Come on,
all
mind
the
yourself.
best. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. And that's it, lads. Thanks for everything. Thanks for Shane.